So the overlay of egoic conditioning is a realm in which object relates to object. So the body, which is the primary object, is in relationship with all of these other objects that are away from it. The objects of the world. And what is between one object and another is experienced to be nothing. And anything that is experienced to be something is an object. Sensations and emotions and thoughts, objects that are passing through. And the body itself is an object. But the subject that is aware of the object is not an object. It cannot be located in space, in location. The feeling of it is locationless. When one asks the very simple question, who am I? Who am I in truth? And when I say in truth, what I mean is without the overlay of memory, the story of the past, just the story. There is no past, but without the overlay of the story of the past. When one looks to see who am I right now, knowing nothing, what is discovered is that the attention in this direct question does not go to an object. It does not go to the body. When the question is asked, who am I, without any overlay and any interpretation, the attention falls into the subject, which is not in location, which is not an object, which is not in time. Since it is not an object, it cannot be found, but it can be felt. And it is the feeling of the only thing that is not away from. For there is nowhere the feeling is not. There is no need to intentionally look for the subject. When you ask the question, who am I, without any overlay, it becomes self-evident that I am not the body, I am that which is aware of the body. And the feeling of that which is aware is the feeling of the self. And the feeling of the self is the feeling of the infinite ocean of being. In the feeling of the self, there are no objects to be found. Objects only appear in the perception of the senses that occur when you have fallen away from the feeling of who you are. So objects come and go. Sensations come and go. Thoughts come and go. But the awareness that is aware of these is eternally, unchangingly present. You are always aware. It is your nature. The feeling of this awareness is the feeling of the only thing that is not away from. The unchanging feeling of yourself. There are no states in this feeling, it is unchanging. States, varying states arise when the identification has happened, the experience happens that I am the body. But when the very simple, direct question is asked, without any overlay, who in essence am I? You fall into the feeling of awareness itself, which is the feeling of your very existence, which is alive always, and it is always alive now. It begins to become clear that the workings of the mind-body are really immaterial. It's just a egoic, conditioned habit. That what has consistently has been felt to be you throughout the life and prior is your being. Your being is aware. It is aware of the objects. It is aware of the thoughts and the feelings they pass through. But all objects have a beginning and an ending in time. They're all changing. But what monitors change is the unchanging nature of awareness. And when the simple question is asked without any idea, who am I in truth? What you fall into is the feeling of this awareness that you are. The thing about it is that when you are aware of the awareness that you are, this awareness that you are becomes alive. Distraction has pulled the attention away, but when you recognize your nature, it comes vibrantly alive. It does not become alive in a particular place at a particular time, because it is neither in location nor time. The awareness that you are is eternally now. Now is eternal. And you are aware. The nature of awareness is your very existence. You always exist now. The feeling of the existence that you are has no borders or boundaries. And this can be felt. In fact, the awareness that you are is infinite. It's infinite. And as you become aware of the infinite nature of yourself, it becomes more and more alive. The consciousness that you are becomes more alive. It begins to recognize its own nature more and more fully. And the byproduct of that is this very, very deep sense of peace, wholeness, this joy that recognizes itself as joy. This love that recognizes itself as love. Unchanging, infinite, alive. It is this very beingness that gives birth to the cosmos. But is unaffected. It is self-luminous, self-sustaining. And the life becomes simply about falling deeper and deeper into this love relationship with love itself. Love is not in a place, but it is felt as yourself. Happiness is not in a place, but it is felt as yourself. And the more there is falling into this, the more the habit, the conditioned habit of being pulled out of what is present, what is now, into the story of the past that gives birth to relationship of object to object, always changing, appearing in time. The more this begins to fade away. And as you fall more and more fully into the beauty, the unchanging beauty, what is discovered is the objects are just appearance. They're not objects at all. They're just appearance. My body is just an appearance. As you rest in your nature, the nature of the consciousness that you are starts becoming wiser and more sensitive. Can orient itself. What is this thing that's called the body. But while you are sitting in the unchanging nature, can recognize, well, sensations arise, always changing. Maybe emotions arise that are changing. Thoughts may arise that are changing. But they are all just appearing and disappearing, appearing and disappearing, appearing, disappearing. While the consciousness, the beingness, is eternal, unchanging, always this moment, unaffected, infinite, centerless. And then it just becomes this process of releasing the conditioned habits that have pulled your attention by noticing. Noticing is what arises out of awareness. It notices. Noticing the tendencies, the patterns to grab on to objects. Then just noticing what is noticing. And what is noticing is aware, it's awareness. You fall into the feeling of it, and it's everywhere. It's infinite. Alive. And this is the simple discovery when you ask the fundamental question, who am I? Just to drink of the beauty of your divine nature. Just to feel what is omnipresent. What is vibrantly awake. And it is awake to its own nature. And it feels itself in every appearance. And then the objects of perception are no longer objects of perception, but recognized to be appearance that appears within the infinite field of consciousness, of awareness, beingness. And it feels so whole and so full and so complete and so alive. It feels brand new because there is no past in it. yet it is before the inception of the experience of time. There is no direction in it. It is directionless. It cannot be found, but it can be felt. And the feeling is the feeling of myself. And this is the taste of wakefulness, where the hypnosis has worn off and the beauty of your nature is revealed. You are divine consciousness. This is the potential discovery of what you actually are. You are pure light, the celestial light of pure divinity. And the more you rest in your nature, the more beautiful and alive and sensitive you become to yourself. The old habits of identification with a past story about someone starts fading further and further into the background as the ethers of what you truly are begin celebrating your nature everywhere, infinitely, in every spot, everywhere, infinitely celebrating your nature, becoming more and more sensitive to the feeling, the fabric of the light of consciousness falling back upon itself. Glory of such a thing cannot be spoken, but the feeling of it. This is the immaculate gift of yourself.